Good morning, and thank you so much for finding time to being with us today and joining us. It is the 17th day of August 2022. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Gutu, and I'm glad that you found time to be with us today. I will take us through the headlines this morning, and then we shall look at the conversation that we shall be having today. Yesterday, while we were having the show, there were possibilities that perhaps Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, could head to the courts, but it was not confirmed. But later on, Raila Odinga, the leader of Azimio, One Kenya Alliance, came out and said indeed the coalition was heading to the courts and rejected the results from the just concluded election. So let me just bring us the headlines, and then we'll get into that conversation. On the People Daily, Raila rejects poll results. Azimio leader says announcement of presidential results is unconstitutional, and Chebukati's conduct amounted to an illegality. That story is what is on the inside pages of the People Daily, and Supreme Court all set to hear case. That story is on page 5. The Star newspaper, the main headline, Chebukati, Agony as Uhuru clears path for DP Ruto. State Gazette's DP as president-elect enhances security at his home. That story is on page 4 and 5. And commissioner set stage to testify against IEBC boss, and inside Bomas of Kenya drama that nearly explode. That story is on page 7. Big name civil servants facing uncertain future. The fate of top civil servants influential in President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee government now hangs in the balance as William Ruto's presidency looms. The outgoing deputy president was on Monday declared president-elect and is set to be sworn in should there be no petition to challenge his win. I think, okay. The story is on page 8. Supreme Court prepares for possible petition. The story is on page 9. And the main headline, just out there, Raila rejects Ruto win, vows legal political war. And then we look at the Standard newspaper, the main headline, why I reject Ruto victory. Azimio candidate in the just ended presidential election, Raila Odinga says results announced by IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati, which made DP William Ruto president-elect, null and void because the commission boss acted unilaterally at the tail end of the tallying and verification process by excluding fellow commissioners. That story is on page 2 and 3. Missing election official murdered. That is on page 15. IEBC commissioners walkout splits opinion. That is on page 6. And full in tray. 9 key issues awaiting Ruto. And back to school, parents want the calendar extended. That story is on page 7. The Daily Nation, the main headline, Raila rejects tally. A day of drama, terming Wafula Chebukati's announcement of William Ruto as president-elect a nullity. The Azimio leader vows to seek justice and overturn the results declaration, even as dissident IEBC commissioners lay bare their case against their chairman. So a divided commission, a hard-headed chairperson, and a disputed election result. Is this 2017 all over again? That is a special post-election coverage on the Daily Nation from page 2 all the way to page 12 and 13. Inside the Daily Nation, this is one killing too many. Kenyans reacted angrily to news yesterday of the discovery of the body of missing Embakasi East Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission returning officer Daniel Mbolo Musyoka in a forest at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro in Oloitoktok, Kajiado County. Musyoka, 53, disappeared from the Embakasi Constituency Tallying Center on Thursday last week, and police said yesterday his body was found in a seasonal river. His clothes, a tracksuit and a Masai shuka were found nearby, and there were visible signs of struggle and torture on the victim's body. Several civic groups condemned Musyoka's killing, noting the election officials should not become the targets of strangled political players. They called for speedy investigations to bring the killers to book. That story is on page 10, and that is what we have on the headlines. Oh no, and this other story down here. 0.01% of what? IEBC Vice Chair Juliana Cherera in a media briefing yesterday called Wafula Chebukati's total tally a mathematical absurdity that casts doubts on the accuracy of the declared results, as it indicates an extra 142,000 votes cast Kenyans immediately took to social media to correct her and her 3 dissenting colleagues, noting that the figure, though important in the current conversion, may much less at 1,420 votes. The math in the fight. And Kenyans have been having a field day with this. Thank you so much. Apologize for that. And we are now joined this morning by Kiptanui Sevania. Kiptanui, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam. A very good morning to you. Good morning to my fellow correspondent. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching from. I'm joining you live from Nakuru CBD. Thank you for having me this morning on this great show.
All right, nice to have you too. Javan Karanja is also joining us from Nanyuki town. Javan, a very good morning to you and thank you for finding time to being with us.
Very good morning to you, Miriam. Good morning to our viewers. And Kiptanui, it's a pleasure being here on Punchline Television.
Okay, so let's just start with that mathematics. Kiptanui, did you try working it out by yourself?
Miriam, good morning. I am not. I don't know whether I'm also poor in mathematics. I didn't try it, but what impressed me is what we are doing in social media, and I don't know who is correct. I think my other Evan Karanja will assist me on that vessel, those mathematics. But all in media, what I realize is that the center of all this is that it is true. It is true. The way we say it before actually we came to close before we went to this election that Chebukati was running this show alone is true, because we saw it yesterday. He's a man who was under control of somebody and he was running this show. Apart from those mathematics, Sarah has been criticized, but she must be having a point, Miriam. That will be proved in court. Thank you.
All right, okay. And nobody's disputing everything else she said except for the mathematics that she gave there. Jevan, are you able to work out those figures for yourself?
Yes, Miriam. I have tried to, first and foremost, the deputy of Wafula Chebukati, Madam Juliana Cherela, what he said, people are concentrating much on the math and the numbers that she gave, rather than concentrating on the message that he was trying to drive home. And the message is the number of registered voters and the number of vote cast. If the percentage is divided among the 4 contenders, it cannot exceed 100%. And we know that for sure. Therefore, when it exceeds 100% with 0.01%, that is where the board of contentious is. It's not about the number or the 142,000 that he claims were added, but it's about the percentage that was above. We don't care which number it is, because the number that she gave might not reflect what is correct or what is wrong, but the message that she was driving home, that is what Kenyans need to concentrate on. And that shows that in this IEBC that was mandated to conduct the 2022 general election, there's something that was not going on well. And there's something more than meets the eye. And I think I agree with the former Prime Minister when he says we need to go to the Supreme Court so that we can iron these issues out and maybe bear these things in the limelight so that Kenyans can know, so that these 4 commissioners can explain further on what really transpired on the material day that forced them to walk out of bombers of Kenya. But as it stands now, Miriam, the numbers have no problem. The issue is that the percentage that was given exceeds the 100%. More to that, Miriam, in that format, I don't know the number of spoiled votes, because Wafula Chebukati, when he was announcing the winner of the 2022 general election, he didn't care to tell us how these members or how this presidential candidate performed in 290 constituency. He didn't tell us the number of spoiled vote. Therefore, I think there's something that need to be rectified. And this thing can only be brought into the dust on this issue can be settled by the Supreme Court. And that is why I'm eagerly waiting to see what will be going down on the Supreme Court, because there's more that we need to know as Kenyans. But as it stands now, there is a problem in the IEBC and the results that were announced by one Wafula Chebukati.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for that. I had to have my son, who is high school, do that math for me, and I said, honey, I mean, if any number by 100%, if you were to add all of these percentages, the result of that should amount to 100%. If it doesn't, then we do have a problem. We have to go back and see how those percentages tally, even in the first place. But I think this must be Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. Dr. Nyanchama, very good morning to you. Maybe not. All right. Douglas Kirimi, good morning. Oh, go ahead.
A very good morning to you, Miriam, and also to my co-panelists. It is a good morning for us here, and I'm happy to be here. And Miriam, for us as a country and as a people, we need to also demystify the issues that surround the very issues that
before we get into that, because I want to get into the point by point what the commission has talked about, Douglas. I don't know if you've been able to do that mathematics by yourself, and I don't know if you're able to get the correct figures.
Miriam, the mathematics that I've been able to do, I've been able to come up with a number of 1420, and what the commissioners have been able to give us as a country, it is as confusing as they come. Everyone in the country is waiting around, and for me, I'm still waiting to see what mathematicians are going to do. My statistics and that of IEBC vice chairman are not
are not mathing.
Marrying.
Okay.
They are not mathing. So.
But as a mathematician, you know, I had to give my son those figures, and I say add that, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at a percentage of something, all those percentages must add up to 100%, isn't it? I wasn't good in maths. Yeah, but I think so. They should all amount to 100%, all those percentages. Whatever it is, if you put them together, they should all come to 100% of the number that you're seeking to get the end result, right?
Yes. Okay. But Miriam, still the jury is out there. It is still in the public, the court of public opinion. People are arriving at different numbers. But as for me and myself and I, we've also signed ourselves out of that contest, especially when it borders to mathematics. I wasn't good in that. I'm good in counting money. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Nyanchama, I don't know if that is him, because he is a certified accountant, so he is the best person to crack this number up for us. Dr. Nyanchama, exactly. If you can hear me, good morning. I don't know if that is you, but I'm assuming, because
Yes, you can get me?
Yes, I can hear you. So I'm happy you're here this morning. So talk to us about this 0.01% first.
Miriam, let me say something first. You know, I am really surprised, man, on how petty people can become on a simple figure. By the way, first of all, it needs to be noted that when you see an error in something, it is a pointer that what led to the totals where the error is, they are inaccurate. And what the commissioner was simply telling Kenyans is if you take Miriam, a patient, to hospital, and you are not a doctor, and you simply say from headache, it is up to the doctor to establish what is the genesis of the headache. This commissioner, I believe it was a slip of the tongue on the 140,000. But the bottom line is this: things are not adding up. In accountancy, there is what we call balancing of errors. When things don't add up, and the residual error may seem to be minimal, but if you go to the constituent figures which were leading to the totals, you may find various errors, others even cancelling off or balancing off. I want to tell you, Miriam, you don't look at the percentage in the end. You look at a figure by figure, because there are others which are balancing off. And you may be shocked. The inaccuracies could be deeper than people think. I am very surprised seeing very able accountants taking calculators, putting 0.01 over 100 and getting 1420, trying to demean the commissioner. I would agree it is 1420, it's not 140,000, but that was an error the commissioner made on the face of it, because she took 0.01 and she multiplied. She took a factor instead of taking a percentage. It is a normal occurrence. And we should not dwell on that. We should look at the bigger picture, Miriam. The inaccuracies could be in the figures that led to the total.
The primary data.
Yes, the fact that it did not add to 100% absolute, it means there are issues need to be resolved. That's what the commissioner was simply saying. To that extent, Miriam, I submit.
And thank you so much for making it easier for us to understand as a satisfied person very close to the numbers. You understand that better, Dr. Nyachama. Thank you so much for that clarity, because IEBC had come out earlier, a few days as we started the process, and they were giving us a status update on how the election had gone. And Chebukati said the 14 million and some 100,000 of 0.1 plus plus. He gave the exact figures of the people who had voted. And so Kenyans were working out this math based on that. And all these figures, the percentages that each candidate got, they all must tally and add up to that figure that you were given in a layman's language. Dr. Nyachama, that's what you're saying. Okay, very well. So now let's get into other...
What Miriam was saying, yes. You asked me a question, I was muted.
Okay, go ahead.
What I was saying is this: Kenyans need to be prudent. The issue on the table is this. The fact that it is not 100% absolute, and there is an additional percentage, it points that the figures which were used to get the total, they are inaccuracies and needs to be investigated. And remember, when you add and get finally an error, the error could be bigger than the eyes can see, because there are other errors which balance off. And I think this is what the commissioner was saying. The bottom line, Miriam, is if you use the analogy of a mother taking a child to hospital, with her, or she knows the child is suffering from the headache. It is up to the doctor to find the genesis of the problem. Not to tell the parent, why did she know that this headache is because of the injury she got at the leg? No. It is up to the people who are qualified to find out what is the genesis of the residual error. I submit, Mila.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nyanchama. Frederick Mulika, you're saying you're watching us all the way from the US. Thank you so much, and a very, I think, good evening to you. And it will be nice to know from what state you're watching us from. And Ufa, you're asking, why did Uhuru Kenyatta throw his support behind Raila Odinga and not his Vice President Ruto? That's a very long story, Ufa. Maybe in the course of this show, somebody will give you the answer to that. But yes, but thank you so much for watching. Charles Muunga, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. Now let's look at some of the other issues that these commissioners brought up yesterday. 4 commissioners, I'm reading from the page 3 of the Daily Nation. 4 commissioners of the Electoral Agency yesterday came out to explain the reasons for the rejection of presidential election results that were announced by Chairperson Wafula Chebukati. They cited what they said was Mr. Chebukati's erroneous aggregation of the final percentage scored by presidential candidates, their being locked out of the last phase of the process and failure to announce tallies of certain constituencies as key issues that they said rendered the process unconstitutional. So before we even go further, I think they mentioned that maybe over 20 constituencies tallies were yet to be announced to the public, and they had done the commission had done all that throughout, and so we were waiting for the results of the last constituencies that were remaining before we expected Chebukati to announce the presidential results, but we were all shocked that that was not the case. So I don't know if that is an illegality or Chebukati can do what he did, but they're saying they were locked out of the last phase of the process. And I think in another newspaper I read, was it here or was it on the, let me check that out for us. Yes, on the Star newspaper, Nightmare Commissioner set stage to testify against IEBC boss. So I think they might, if necessary, they might appear in front of the court to testify against some of these issues they brought up, and if at all that petition will go to the court. Well, Azimio has said they're going to the court. So I don't know, what do you read of this, Kiptanui? Kiptanui is not there, Javan.
Yes, Miriam. And I think time is ripe because, injustice to one Kenya is an injustice to all of us. Therefore, if the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, goes to the Supreme Court and everything that went wrong in IEBC will be brought to limelight so that Kenyans will know and understand how Wafula Chebukati orchestrated the manipulation of our votes, then that is the route that we need to take. Because at the end of the day, Miriam, we have a half of the country that supported Raila Odinga. And from the tone that I saw William Ruto, the said president-elect, using while having an interview with journalists at Bomas of Kenya, I see a man who will not accommodate divergent views from what he believes in. Therefore, that means there are some Kenyans who feel neglected. There are some Kenyans who feel rejected. There are some Kenyans who will feel like they are not part and parcel of this country. And we know for sure, Miriam, that we are all partisans in this country. We all pay taxes in this country. Therefore, a leader who seems not to have the capacity to accommodate all Kenyans in his government is a leader who will bring more chaos and more problems in this country than what we already have. Because, Miriam, the most important thing that we are looking for as a country is unity, is inclusion, equity, and equality. If we get that as a country, nobody will care to know whether they are Kikuyus, whether they are Kalenjins, whether they are Luos, we will all have a common sense of belonging. And that is, we all feel that sense of patriotism and nationalism, and will start loving our country. But that will not happen if we have leaders in office who forced their way into office, leaders who are injected and forced to Kenyans by a corrupt electoral commission. That is not the country that we want to live and to coexist in the next 10 or 20 years. Therefore, I wish the Supreme Court of Kenya will do justice to Kenyans, will do justice to our country, and deliver justice, Miriam. And the outcome of Supreme Court, Miriam, since it's final, Miriam, we will accept and move on, whichever the outcome comes. But I pray that the judges at the Supreme Court of Kenya gives us a good verdict. I pray that they will not be corrupted as IEBC. I pray they give us a good direction and a good determination that we unite this country, Miriam. When you look at this nation as we speak, Miriam, there's a sense of division. When you look at our brothers from the Luo Kenya, Miriam, I've seen what they're writing on Twitter, on Facebook. These people feel misused. They feel like they are not part of this country. And they're feeling that the best option that they have is to secede from this country. And they have their own nation where they can have their leaders who they will love and elect and who will bring development to them. That is not the kind of feelings that we want to any of our Kenyans, even to our enemies. We want all of us to feel and to be part of this country. Therefore, a lot needs to be done. And I pray even to our religious leaders, Miriam, because they are part of the problem in this nation. And I don't know why we in Africans, we are so much on religion rather than looking at the basics that will take our continent in the next level. Our religious leaders are coming out to support what Chebukati did, rather than asking, they are telling us to maintain peace, but they are not concerned with the injustices that the former Prime Minister and the team of Azimio are complaining about. I wish our religion leaders can stand on a neutral ground and give advice without being bipartisan. But what they are doing, that is not how we should run this country, because they are dividing this country, Miriam, and we don't want to reach to a point where we'll amplify the divisions that we have, the tribal divisions that we have in this country, to religion aminosity. That is not where we want to take this country. Therefore, our religious leaders, they should champion for justice, because with justice, peace will prevail. But there is no peace where injustices drives. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And I don't know if that is why Olesepit, the head of the Anglican Church in Kenya, has been getting a lot of backlash. I've tried to abstain from social media for obvious reasons. I think I need a peace of mind. There's so much going in there that can be quite toxic, so I really don't know what has been happening there so much, but I've heard a section of Kenyans are really feeling a certain kind of way. But anyway, I'm just looking at that form that Chebukati declared the results for the election of President of the Republic of Kenya on their Twitter page, and I see the name of the candidates. I see valid votes in figures of that indicates whatever each candidate got, and I see the percentage of votes that were given, the percentage that were given to each candidate, and then I see the number of counties the candidates has attained at least 25% of total valid votes. It's indicated there, and that's just it. So there's no number of Kenyans who voted, there's no number of rejected, like hakuna hiyo summary like we're used to having. So I think this is what I think Chebukati read that day, and this is the issue that the commissioners are bringing up. And Cherera, who is accompanied by Commissioners Francis Wanderi, Justice Nyang'aya, and Irene Masit, during a press conference in Nairobi, wondered if the valid votes cast for the winning candidate was 7.176 million, and then how would they translate to 50.49% of an unknown total. So the fact that Chebukati did not indicate the total number of votes that were cast, and na hukuwa na zile that were spoiled votes or something. So he did not give that. In the absence of a credible and verifiable explanation, we concluded that the process that went into the generation of Form 34C, which Chebukati used to declare results of the presidential election, was opaque and incapable. And I think the word opaque is trending this morning, if I'm not wrong, for those who are active on social media, and incapable of earning our ownership of the confidence. And they're saying by the time Chebukati declared and announced the final results, there were more than 20 constituencies that had not been declared, casting doubt on where he was in haste to make hurried proclamation before this was done. And I think from what they were saying, even these 20 constituencies, Chebukati sort of refused to share with them the results of this. And so, but he had been sharing all through. So that's why, because a lot of Kenyans were asking, why are these commissioners coming out right now to complain, and yet they've been part of this process through and through. And they're saying, come the last tallies, that is when Chebukati, decided not to share with them some of this information. That is what they said, So I don't know. Is there a case here? And these issues that they're bringing up, Dr. Nyanchama, is there any of this? Oh, I see Dr. Matanga has joined us this morning. Doc, a very good morning to you. Okay, so as Doc figures out his connection there, okay, as we wait for Dr. Matanga to figure out his connection there for him to join us once again, Dr. Nyanchama, some of these issues that these commissioners are bringing out outside of the 0.01%, is there any of this that the Azimio team can piggyback on and use as evidence? Is there any of this that can be useful as far as the petition filing is concerned?
Oh, thank you, Miriam. Thank you very much. Firstly, before, Miriam, you are a media expert, and you have gone to ceremonies where prizes are given to the winners. I want you to tell me, where have you seen on earth a person who has come to receive a prize is seated at the podium, same podium with the person who is giving the prize? Where have you seen that? Nowhere. You sit somewhere and then you are called to the podium to take the prize. The prize in this context is the certificate. And in fact, the commissioners, first of all, brought up issues that they did not include other issues which were procedure was supposed to be included. How many they got in each county, how many they did this. They didn't do that because they were hurrying up. And when you hurry up, you end up to leave behind a trail of failure, which was left behind because the court must look at the entire process. It's not an event, just an event of giving who's the winner. We look at the whole process. Was everything done above board? Was everything done above board? That is the question. In fact, the commissioners said they were doing things well, and they reached a point where things started to go south. And that is the point where they moved out. And they said they didn't want to be part of the process. If the court looks entirely on the whole process, to that extent, then things were done in a transparent form in a certain stage. And that may bring out what we call an inferred evidence that things were not done as expected. You see, there is an issue. You have said that these people, all commissioners, may end up being witnesses in court. Remember, Miriam, maybe I've never told the panelists that I train. I usually tell people, when you walk in when you walk in the consciousness of a queen, Miriam, it is difficult to submit yourself to someone who is less than a king. Meaning, when you do things right, you must associate with those ones who do justice. And this is what myself, I think the commissioners will do to bring out the injustice if they are called upon to give evidence. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. Douglas, I know you're waiting to say something, some of these issues. And they're saying by the time Chebukati declared and announced the final results, there were more than 20 constituencies that had not been declared, casting doubt on why he was in a haste to make the hurried proclamation. I mean, over 20 constituencies, that's a huge number of constituencies. Usually when you have like 2, 3, 4 remaining, and of course the winner has a huge margin that might not even affect, even if these other constituencies bring in, will not affect the end result. But in this case, 20, and the way this race was quite tight, over 20 constituencies, Chebukati did not bother to read that. I mean, I don't know, do they have a point here? Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. And I'm also very happy to see my friend Dr. Maurice Mecheni from Continental Tobacco, Uganda, the country director for Continental Tobacco Uganda is on the show also, and also Dr. David Matanga, and also Dr. Nyanchama and others. For Chebukati to do that, and that he did not go ahead and also declare the results without declaring results from 20 20 constituencies, Miriam.
Over 20 constituencies. Mm-hmm.
Yes, over 20 constituencies. It is wrong. He's not supposed to have done that. And I also believe that I have only said before that the only good thing about Chebukati, it's only one thing about him, and I'm not about to say that here. Chebukati is a man that has been on record saying that IEBC is technically incapable of performing this exercise or carrying out this general election. And Chebukati, as it stands today, IEBC elections that have been able to be conducted now can be thrown out by the Supreme Court based on an illegality or a technical perspective. The irregularities Chebukati has been able to perform, as it's been alleged by the commissioners and also the Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, can only be certified by the court that there are irregularities and all that. But on the technical part, this election it's going to be thrown out based on an illegality, based on technicalities. This election has so many technicalities, Miriam, that are going to also make sure that this election is thrown out. Remember, we even have 2 counties that are not going to vote. There are several constituencies that are not going to vote. There is a ward in Meru, Nyaki West, that is not voting, that is going to vote on Tuesday. And in the end, we have issues with IEBC and also the technical perspective, how they are going to handle that election, that they have been able to handle that election. Miriam, I believe from my perspective.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We've lost you there. I don't know, or you look like the look on your face has changed. But Douglas, I'll come back to you a bit short and a bit later. Dr. Masanga has joined us. Doc, a very good morning to you. You're muted.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Good morning, all of you on the platform. Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa and the globe watching us. Thank you very much. I want to thank you very much, all of you, for having kept the speed going. And Miriam, thank you very much for holding the fort. I am away until Friday, when I will be back in where you are. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to welcome Dr. Morris Murimi on our show. This is very important that you have arrived here to start doing something that we always do every day. And we have been saying it about IEBC. First, Miriam, the mathematics. I think that, can I take you back a bit? Because I saw everybody here fearing mathematics. I failed mathematics, and I want to say it categorically. I got a 9. I failed, and Dr. Murimi might be an accountant and or something. That's very good. But for me, I failed mathematics. That is it. So I don't touch anything to do with mathematics. But last night, I hosted a Twitter space, Miriam, and there were 2 professors who taught me something that I did not know. What Chebukati was used is where he was caught is called biodecimal. Bio, you know what it means. Bio, it means data. It means bio. He was caught there with decimals. He did. That is how they. Don't blame this lady and the other commissioner. They are right, and they are going to prove it. They are very right, because East or West, Miriam's son is 100% correct. There is nothing you can add beyond 100. If the calculation of the total number of votes is 100%, it must be 100. There is nothing like plus all take to the nearest. No. I said, I don't want to touch this subject, but it is going to work out. One of them is an expert. He has told me when I return to Kenya, to Nairobi, I will go to his place, and it teaches me, because Miriam, I just want to announce here that I am writing an amicus curiae. I've also joined an organization in East Africa that looks after peace, and we are writing an amicus curiae with details of the maps, with details of the factory, with details of where the papers were printed, videos, the meetings of Chebukati with the officials, other officials of political party, the money transfer, the lines of where the money came from and where it went from. So I will be one of those on the line. Our organization is going to be online on the question of security, instability in East Africa. If this election is not well solved, what can help? So we are coming in from that point of view to explain the Supreme Court that it is very important that they must resolve the issue of a bad election in Africa. So that is what I wanted to make it very clear on this. So the question of the mathematics, Miriam, is a total bizarre. But now, as Germany Karanja was listening to you, leave mathematics, that one alone. Let's come to another saga. Where is the percentage of the total vote cast? Where are the percentage of the spoiled votes? Have you noticed that, Miriam, that he did not tell us the percentage of the spoiled votes finally? Because all the votes that are cast is what he used to calculate Ruto's victory. But he did not tell us the number of cast vote that went in the box, that spoiled percentage is how much. So the whole mathematics doesn't work. This lady, as Dr. Najama was saying, they just came to explain to you that there is a problem here. Imagine these bananas are ripe. Yes.
let me pause you because there's something that you're saying that is very important, and perhaps this goes to show what some of these commissioners were saying, and it appears this thing was prepared in a hurry, because Chebukati gave us a breakdown of what all these people got in these different, what Raila got, Ruto got, Wahiga and Wajakoya in across Kenya. And of course, the percentage is already over 100%, which is 100.01%. But in their tallying, the spoiled votes were not indicated, were not part of the percentages, Doc. So this is something that, as simple as it is, yeah, but it was not accounted for. So it might go 100 point something percent of the votes that
please, Miriam, please,
Yes.
Dr. Mirimi, please. You are Kenyans. You can't be lied to like that.
were not
The guy was supposed to tell us whether it is a spoiled vote or not. It entered the box.
Should have been part of the percentage.
It was
part of the breakdown.
Of the exactly.
Sasa hii imefika
So where did
100%.
he? So if we carry these votes to Justice Mwiru, Justice Mwiru, the Deputy Chief Justice, let's prepare to go home, and Mr. Kapitanui Nakuru, prepare our way home, because the judge is going to say, where is the percentage of the total vote cast? Is it this one or that one? Oh, that's all. That's all. That's all.
It's just on the face value like
Kaput.
that. Yeah.
Yes. We don't need to go far. Let me bring you another one. And all of you on the panel now, get a pen. At 8:27 and 60 seconds, Mr. Chebukati and the commissioners left Bomas in different cars, in 7 cars differently, escorted by Kenya police. That is 8:27 and 6 minutes. At exactly, that is, Chebukati told the commissioners, we meet at Serena at 11 o'clock so that we proceed to meet, to give a letter to the Chief Justice and the President of the Republic of Kenya to notify them that we are going to make a final submission of the results and announce the results. As a mandate, they are supposed to give the Chief Justice and the President a letter. So Chebukati left, and all the commissioner, the CEO, and the 3 and other people, the 3, Chebukati and the 2 commissioners, did not accompany the other commissioners. The other commissioners went to their homes. At exactly 9:27 and 17 seconds, the commissioners arrived at Serena Hotel. All the 4 commissioners plus their bodyguards, the cars can be sent. This is the information that I have gathered that is going to be displayed to the hotel, to the Supreme Court through our petition. 9:27, 17 minutes, later on changed their clothes. The ones that you saw them in, they arrived in Serena Hotel in preparation for their chairman to come. Of course, you have to put on a nice suit so that the president can see you. And nicely, you are well dressed. They arrived there. 9:27, they ordered for tea. They sat down. They started waiting for their chairman. While people in Bomas of Kenya were loading the hall, they waited from that time, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, Chebukati was nowhere to be seen. At exactly 12:17, Mr. Chebukati arrives at Serena Hotel. And Mr. Chebukati, he is here. He has arrived in Serena Hotel. He wants to meet the commissioners. He arrives in company of the two other commissioners plus the CEO, Marjan. And the commissioners said, okay, now, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chebukati said, we don't have much time. People have crowded already at Bomas. We need to now sign this. The commissioner said, which documents? That is, I've now, Miriam, I've spoken to them myself. They said, which documents? Which documents? Mr. Chebukati, you left us at 38 constituencies. Maina Kiai case said you must announce all the constituencies publicly. Mr. Chairman, you went with 38 constituencies. And it is a similar case that Standard Group, Citizen Television, and the NTV have taken the case to court. That if you look at the screen of IEBC right now, it is still standing at that 8, the hour I'm telling you. That is when Chebukati left with 38 constituencies. Yes, he had 38 constituencies. The results of 38 constituencies were never. That's already a violation of Maina Kiai order. That's why the companies, like a citizen, have gone to court to say the man told us to pick the portal, he switched off the portal, and he never gave us the results of 38 constituencies. So where could we get? So as they were there bargaining in Serena Hotel, Miriam, to cut a long story short, the commissioner said, okay, show us what are we signing and what do we sign? Something that we don't know. Mr. Chairman, you have been having a private server, which we have never seen. Mr. Wafula Chebukati went to the Sun house number. I can't reveal the house here, but it has been taken over by agencies that are investigating this case, where Wafula Chebukati's son and others were stationed who are feeding in this data to the other kids. So Wafula brought out the list. And I want you to go back and those Javan Karanja and Douglas Kirimi who are on social media. I would like to see you, to show you that on the social media, Dumbi posted the same results much earlier. Dumbi had the same results on the same paper, actually the same paper of IEBC, which we have collected as evidence, which shall present to the Supreme Court. That was almost hours, and the previous night, we could say, we have won the thing, these are the results. The same thing is what Wafula came and read the results. So, 1 o'clock, the room became very hot. Wafula started threatening the commissioners. The commissioners started also saying, we have been keeping quiet for a long time. We are sorry. This time, let's say the truth. You have been meeting so many people. We don't know why you meet them. You don't tell us. We're commissioned under this law, Electoral Act. We are supposed to make consensus and a majority concurrence before you make any announcement. Now, we cannot be a party to the results that you said on the BVR, and we are not going with you to meet the president. Things were thick, And at about 1:29, that is almost a half past and some seconds, the convoy of Wafula Chebukati switched off to go to the State House. And when he reached there, he was not immediately met because they wondered why Mr. Chebukati came alone and there was nobody who was coming with Chebukati. So they started using calling the commissioners. The State House called the commissioners. They started everybody to what had happened. The commissioners said, we are more than willing to meet. We are more than willing to meet the president, but we cannot meet the president now, and we cannot meet the president with Mr. Chebukati. The results that Mr. Chebukati is bringing to you are not our results. So he was delayed for 1 hour, another 1.5 hours seated there. The arrangement was changed. If you remember, Miriam, they had announced 3 p.m. Now it became a nightmare. What does the head of state do and the chief justice do now that these other commissioners are not available? They are not coming. We are not coming. I don't know, there's a Swahili word say, what? We are not coming. We can't come. We are not coming. You go ahead and announce your results. Miriam, finally, the head of state, and I can hear so many people trying to say, all this or that. I've heard it on some radio stations. The president would have said this. The president cannot interfere because the president is only being informed of who is the winner, and that's it. And he says, okay, if he could call his security, national security agency answer, and say, there you are, have you beefed up security for this man to announce the results? They said yes. But sir, where are the other commissioners? It became a crisis. Wafula tried to explain, and I think there what happens, I can't say more than that, because it becomes a security matter, which I cannot say on the television. It will be said in court. Okay? Okay. Wafula left there, immediately very upset, and drove alone with the 3 other commissioners plus Marijuana to go. Of course, all the time he was in communication with the man he had given the vote. But he never tried to call the person whom he claims had failed to gather the votes. He never called Raila Odinga. He never informed Raila Odinga what was going on. Raila Odinga was being informed by now the head of state and other people to say, this is what is happening. So Raila Odinga said, if that is the case, he is not coming to Bomas because it could blow up. People seeing Raila Odinga there, and the people are saying, oh, why didn't Raila Odinga go to Bomas? No, it would have been worse, I'm telling you.
I think it was wise for him to stay away.
Even Ruto would have been injured. Because people would have come and taken over that place. So Raila was advised to stay home. And Mr. Chebukati, you saw the way. Now the message, people rang. Now, Oredama, my friend, said, Matanga, have you seen what is going on here? I said, the people are there. Yes, Oredama did the service. He serviced them. 3 of them were well serviced. And thanks very much. People want to hand over the issue, the whole thing to Ruto. You can see in the communication between the chairman and the wife of the president, of the deputy president, and Ruto. It is like a homemade exercise that was already planned, and that is exactly, Miriam, what happened. So, in a nutshell, I have seen my friend Honorable Douglas Kirimi here has done very good mathematics. Douglas, thank you very much for this mathematics.
Of course, the commissioners, Doc, even me, I'm not very good in maths, but the commissioners were wrong on the figures. But that is not the point. The point is, even the 0.01%, which accounts to maybe 1,400 plus, votes. Let's look at the spoiled votes in the 2013 elections. They accounted for 0.88%, which was at 108,795. Those were the spoiled votes in 2013 election. And in 2017, the spoiled votes or the invalid votes stood at over 37,000. And the fact that they were not captured, and when they were announcing the votes from the constituencies until the point Chebukati decided he will not give us the remaining constituencies, he was giving us the whole breakdown. Because it is required for the sake of transparency and accountability of every ballot paper that was issued that day and Kenyans got to vote. It is important to know the votes that were cast, the spoiled votes, and then you give us the rest, how each candidate performed as far as the votes that were valid. But he did not give this, and according to the mathematics that Chebukati gave us and the figures, whatever he did, already is 100% plus. So obviously, even not even going into details of everything else, Doc, that we've been covering throughout these elections, and we know a lot of things, and we even said, regardless of who will win, the other side has enough ground to go to court to nullify these elections. Even if Raila would have won this election, Ruto still would have found some very valid points to go and nullify these elections because of a lot of discrepancies and things that were done outside of the law and things like that. So we knew this was going to happen. But when you look at just going by what IEBC itself, gave out, it's contradicting itself. So how can now Chebukati come back and tell us that maybe, how will they account for the spoiled votes? Because that was supposed to be there. And also the total number of votes that were cast, he should have given us. He should have given us that breakdown for the sake of transparency. So I don't know, how do you look at how this will play out? Because I think this is a point that Azimio might take and form part of their case.
Miriam, the truth comes back home to roost. The chicken have come back home to roost. Even if it is not the votes, there is the preparation, the journey that Wafula has walked. There is Ruben Kagame is there. There is Jeff Kalui is there. There is Okuro Okot is there. There are so many people. There are about 57. There are about 57 people who have seriously filed applications that the Supreme Court will be receiving from tomorrow up to Saturday. So, Miriam, whichever way you are talking about, it is a very deadly issue that it must be resolved. First of all, has now been established that the contract of procurement of ballot papers was given without publication in the official gazette notice. It has also been established that KPMG told Wafula that they must rectify the register before it goes. That's why Wafula had to fidget. It is also now established that the entire Mount Kenya, including Meru, Mount Kenya East and West, all of them They added there 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 to all the Kim kits. It is also established that API was not given to political parties. That is application processing interface was not given to political parties. So East or West, the preparations were shown, the election will be nullified. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Kiptanui, I think Dr. Morris left. He was not able to say something, but hopefully he can join us again. Kiptanui, your thoughts on the spoiled votes? They were not there. Haziko, Chebukati aliamua, those ones don't count.
Thank you so much, my sister Miriam. And good morning, Dr. David. I'm actually happy to have seen you. Miriam, I'm also happy this morning.
You were worried.
I was very worried. I'm very happy. If I can even smile, you can see my face is shining. You know, I know, but don't worry. I am okay. Don't worry. Oh, thank you, Miriam. As we said earlier, Chebukati was running this show alone. It has come to we thank God actually that God is always faithful. Miriam, God is not actually for this William Ruto alone. Miriam, it is coming to the realization that Chebukati is an ignorant man. He did these things alone, and he actually is. I don't know. I think because of maybe he was given something small, Miriam. And it will actually haunt him for the rest of his life. No wonder why the wife actually said long time ago, we pray for them. You cannot pray for the people of Miriam who are messing up this country. You know, he was here in 2017, Miriam. And why is it that Chebukati is a lawyer and he was not able actually to read the spoiled vote? And he is known, he is aware. Miriam, on my view, last night I was telling somebody, it seems even these results was being swapped by this Chebukati. Because out of 38 constituencies, he's aware that there were no results. And he has been feeding us, Miriam, with spoiled votes. Asimio has got this one, the other wing of the coalition has got this one. Until the moment he remembered that the money was given. You know, Miriam, and I want to say in this television without fear or without favor that the Kenya Kwanza coalition are capable of doing everything, Miriam. Dr. Nyanjama, you said, how can you actually go and sit down as you are waiting for somebody to read your name so that you go for the prize? I was of the opinion that in 2017, I didn't see Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto sitting on front of Chebukati. They were not around there. Maybe you just you go somewhere and then you are called. You are called to just come and receive this prize, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Douglas. No, Jevan, say something and then Douglas.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And we are in a very, a state of confusion as a country because of the kind of acts that one of Chebukati committed at Bomas of Kenya and thrown this country into a sad mood. When you look around, Miriam, you'll see people who are going through agony, pain, especially people who love this country. They feel like their win was shortchanged and was given to William Ruto. And I think as we head to Supreme Court, the issue of spoiled votes, the issue of the additional votes that exceeds 100% is something that will be very contentious, is something that will raise a lot of alarm, and is something that will be dealt with objectively. Because in the mathematics and in the numbers that Wafula Chebukati gave in Bomas of Kenya, he didn't tell us how many spoiled votes, the percentage of spoiled vote was not given to Kenyans. The number of votes that each candidate got in the 291 constituency, including the diaspora votes, which Chebukati didn't tell us. Therefore, we are in a very confused state as a country because we allowed Wafula Chebukati to go on and carry this election. Miriam, people are shifting blame to President Uhuru Kenyatta, to the Jubilee Party, and so on. But Miriam, the question that I have, and I have maintained this, the people to blame for this mess are the people even who support Raila Amolo Odinga, the registrators who support Raila Amolo Odinga. In 2017, they know the mistake that was orchestrated and planned and well executed by Wafula Chebukati that led to the nullification of 2017 general election. How they trusted Wafula Chebukati to conduct this election again still bothers me, because I don't understand why the likes of Junet and others were sitting down plenty, knowing the same man who diverted and who brought all the kind of regularities in 2017 was at the helm of IEBC. Therefore, I think to some extent, even if we are going to another round of election, IEBC need to be streamlined, need to be cleaned, need to be sanitized to avoid the kind of problem that we are in today, Miriam. If this issue of IEBC was dealt in prior to this election, we could not be where we are today. We are trusting a man who committed electoral irregularities to continue being at the helm of IEBC. That is why we will continue having all these manner of confusion that we have as a country until we take elections seriously, Miriam. That is the day all these shenaniganism from IEBC will come to a conclusive end. But as it stands now, Miriam, we will go to Supreme Court. But if we trust Wafula Chebukati and the team to oversee this election, they will throw us into a confusion, into a state of disarray in all these manner of state that we are today, because we are trusting them to continue manipulating and holding this country hostage. Therefore, it's about time we cleaned this IEBC, we cleaned everyone who will be found guilty of involving themselves in electoral malpractices, and we need to have punitive measures as a country that anyone who will be found culpable of committing electoral malpractices will be dealt with ruthlessly, because in 2017, Miriam, the election was nullified. Kenyans lost billions of money, but no one was found culpable of committing that crime. Nobody was brought to bar because of committing those crimes. Therefore, as a country, to some extent, we are not serious, and we are going through this because of our own ignorance, because of our own reluctance when it comes to dealing with important issues as a country. Therefore, on the issue of Supreme Court, Miriam, this is very good step that Azimio has taken. But Miriam, at the end of the day, something needs to be done in this country to ensure that everyone of us as Kenyans feels and becomes proud to belong to this country. There are people, Miriam, in this country who don't feel as if they are Kenyans. When you talk to our brothers from the Luo Nyanza, they feel like they are not part of this country. What will be done? Something needs to be done. A redemption strategy that Dr. Masanga talks about needs to be brought on board so that all Kenyans will having a sense of pride, will start having a sense of belonging to this country. But as it stands now, Miriam, we'll go to the Supreme Court, a decision will be made, but the main cause, the problem, the root cause of the problem will not have been addressed. There are more things that need to be done to bring this country into unity. We must rectify all the injustices that has been committed in this country, all the way from independence to where we are today. Because if we leave them unattended to, they will continue eating us in future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, I don't know if IEBC has shared the total number of votes that were cast, and I don't know if the percentage they gave was based on the valid votes. I think it's confusing, but I think these are the total number of, going by what the statement they had given earlier, just after the conclusion of the elections and the turnout, which they said was at about 65%, and they gave the figures at 14 million point. I guess it was 0.1 something, but now I see it's 0.2 something million. And so still in that, the invalid votes or the spoiled votes were supposed to be accounted for, but he didn't do that. At Douglas, before I take us back to Doc.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. I believe that Wafula Chebukati cannot explain for the unexplained votes. Over 230,000 votes cannot be explained by Mr. Wafula Chebukati. One thing I think Mr. Wafula Chebukati has done, the only good thing about Wafula Chebukati is his shiny bald head. There's nothing else good about him. A man that presided over IEBC, spent billions of dollars to make sure that he runs into a presidential election that is a sham, that can be actually be overturned in terms of technicalities and also technical issues, and also an election that people would wake up to vote for a president. Honestly, Miriam, an MCA seat, in as much as it is important, we can only do so much about it. An MP, senator, the same. The most important part of this election, the 6 ballot papers that we were handed over, the most important vote that Mr. Wafula Chebukati would have wanted to make sure that this paper is tamper-proof, this paper that we would vote for president with, this vote actually was supposed to have been made to count, and also the interference of the presidential vote and also the confusion that continues surrounding Mr. Wafula Chebukati is unforgivable. After 2017 Supreme Court ruling, I believe that Mr. Wafula Chebukati had all the time in the world to prepare for over 4 years to make sure that this election is free, fair, democratic, and verifiable. We cannot be able to verify this election. Chief presidential agents, especially the Azimio la Umoja, Saitabao Rekanchori, cannot be able to verify this election. This election is not democratic. It is not free. It is not fair. These are the very tenets that can hold a presidential election in this country. And then we can be able to be taught that this election was free, fair, transparent, and actually it was democratic and verifiable. We cannot be able to verify. It is not democratic. It is a sham. This election is a sham, Miriam, and I believe that the Supreme Court of Kenya is going to put Kenya before the interest of Mr. Wafula Chebukati and Mr. William Ruto and co, and make sure that the interest of millions of Kenyans, over 50 million Kenyans, take precedence, and this election is nullified. Because, Miriam, we cannot be taken into a circus. It is the same circus that is waiting for us in 2027. And people should be able to be wary of IEBC. No matter who becomes chairman, IEBC should streamline their systems. IEBC should streamline their values as a commission. If it is adding the salary of the IEBC commissioners, we can be able to do that. If it is the salary of the chairman, we can do that so that they cannot be tempted like the stretch Chebukati, the man that people of Kenya trusted with the 2 elections, but he bungled all of them. He bungled the repeat election. He bungled this election. This election is a sham. Miriam have nothing to write home about Mr. Wafula Chebukati. It is an election that we, the people of Kenya, should come together and make sure that this election is nullified, and we, the people of Kenya, have been given an opportunity to vote in an election that Mr. Wafula Chebukati is not presiding over as the national turning officer or the national returning officer. As the chairman of IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati has failed the conscience of this country. Mr. Wafula Chebukati has failed the fulcrum of this country. Mr. Wafula Chebukati does not hold Kenyans in regard, and he does not respect the wishes of the people. The will of the people is being subverted by one man. The will of the people is being subverted by one very man who cannot let others verify. The people of Kenya cannot verify this election. This election is not democratic. This election is not free and fair. This election is a sham. Mr. Wafula Chebukati should be prosecuted for presiding over a sham election and spending millions of taxpayers' dollars and making sure that this money has been consumed by his own personal greed and those of few other people, few elements in IEBC. We've commended IEBC for conducting free and fair elections in some places in this country. And Mr. Chebukati, as we know you today, this election has been a sham. And Mr. Wafula Chebukati, you have a case to answer before the court of public opinion and before the people of Kenya who trusted you, who believed that you, Chebukati, you are going to make sure that this country does not go to the dogs. This country is not held hostage by corruption cartels that have been able to buy you. Because, Miriam, how do you explain 4 commissioners disown the results, 4 commissioners disown you as a chairman and declare that You, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, you are held under duress, and you went ahead to announce results that they cannot be able to verify, results that they cannot be able to agree with. What else do you want us to believe, Mr. Wafula Chebukati? A time has come for us as a country and the people of Kenya to declare that enough is enough, that the IEBC, as we know it, before we conduct the next presidential election, the next repeat presidential election, this commission is reformed. And actually, Miriam, if we had worked the way that we had talked before, if we had walked the path that we had asked that this election be postponed, nobody would have lost confidence in Chebukati, nobody would have lost credibility in the commission, nobody would have lost credibility in leaders that they trusted. Sorry, we the people of Kenya have a case, have a day, and a date with destiny, together with Chebukati, so that in the court of public opinion, Mr. Wafula Chebukati can exonerate himself. I heard him the other day say, Miriam, that we, the people of Kenya, stand an opportunity to see a saint, a good man, a democratic man who has conducted elections according to the laws of the land. And Miriam, from where I sit and from where I come from, Mr. Wafula Chebukati has failed this country after lying to us for over 2 years that he is technically incapable of conducting this election. He has been able to deliver a sham election, an election where over 20 constituencies results have not been able to be declared officially by the national tallying officer, an election where over 230 votes cannot be expressed, 230,000, over 230,000 votes cannot be verified or be announced by this person or be accounted for. These are votes that cannot be explained where they. Mr. Wafula Chebukati has a case to answer with the people of Kenya. Even as Azimio la Umoja ends to the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya, I have lost credibility, I have no trust, and I do not believe in the commissioners who are left with Mr. Wafula Chebukati and Mr. Wafula Chebukati as the chairman of IEBC. I do not believe in him, and we are asking this country to continue remaining calm, even as the Supreme Court finds ways of declaring this illegality, this unconstitutionalism, and also these null and void results that have been declared by the great man, Mr. Wafula Chebukati. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Doc, end it for us. Doctor, can you hear me? Okay, we want to thank you so much for watching. Doc, I'd like for you to end it for us. Doc, can you hear me? You are muted.
You don't know the type of documents that I hear, which I am peering through to make my amicus curiae look like presentable.
All right.
So that the judges can read. So in the process of reading, I forgot I was on this line. And since there is nobody to touch me, I have been, thank you, I heard your voice. First, Miriam, Friday is the D-Day for most of us. And we are going to present this amicus curiae, our petition. But I am telling you the pages, the opening pages are like 67 respondents. Defendants are like 67 verses. They were Wafula Chebukati, William Ruto, Anthony Jeno. We are preparing under the banner of global organization that I partner with, working world in East Africa and the Great Lakes region. They were also observers in this election. They saw exactly what happened. So we don't know how many groups they will allow as amicus curiae. You will see me around there for the first time when they are doing what we call a status conference. If they have allocated us time, I can see the court has just made very good rulings right now. They have, declined to grant orders to Chief Justice Kome about for lawyers to make comments on the case. usually they say just write and bring us the papers and you go. But the lower court has made a ruling that that should not be the case. So it means people will be allowed to make their comments, even if it is 3 minutes, you make your comment, you're done. Secondly, I want to tell the people of Kenya to keep an eye on security and to be able to look at each other's friends and relatives, not as enemies. Election is not a do or die. Election is just a process that has been conducted badly, and therefore it should not make us fight. So it should not make anybody fight. Lastly, Miriam, I would like you to share my tribute, my concern to the world that it looks like African presidents, none of them knows a constitution. They only know their constitutions only. You cannot congratulate a man who is still in court. Mr. Ruto is still going to court. So after, if they nullify him, these African presidents are going to write letters again for another person. You can see Africa, where are we? Why are we like this? Even people who are paid to advise these presidents about the constitutions of Kenya, for example, cannot see that. You can't write a whole page that you are wasting praising a man who is a convict. First, he's a convict and he's in court. So I looked at some of the things that the presidents in Africa need to be educative about other countries' constitution. Other than that, Miriam, I want to thank you very much. We look forward to seeing each other on Friday. Have a nice time. I will go to file. I will need, we shall be very many filing hours. It is a fee that we are still looking for. It is not very easy. Filing that application alone is costing almost 3 to 4 million shillings. So our costs must be found. So we are doing the same to look for money to make sure that we file on behalf of the people of Kenya. And I want to thank you again. Thank you very much. Keep calm. Let's proceed with our work, and we shall see each other on Friday. I thank you, all of you, Javan Nui, Douglas Krimi, and the production team back in Nairobi. Asante sana. Mungu awabariki.
Very well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later with more news from across the continent. Bye-bye.